I did actually want to ask one more question about an American film, which is Hollow Man, which is the last film that you made in Hollywood, and I'm wondering if that was for you like an unsatisfying experience. I actually think the film is. It's a little overshadowed by your other American films, but I think it's kind of
because it has no soul, and
film.
there is a base, and I think it's about nothing. I mean, evidently. But no, I feel that after of course, it had to do. I felt after doing the movie, not immediately because I was still interested in all the special effects and all that. But after making the movie 1 or 2 years later, I really felt that this was what you would call a real studio movie, and that I had not been able to express myself in any other way. You know that I mean, in all these American movies. If you see the Dutch movies, that's all realistic. All the movies that I made in Holland are based on biographies, autobiographies. And coming to the United States, I started in science fiction and did most of it as science fiction. Possibly, it was an intuitive choice because I didn't know enough about the United States. And when you do science fiction, you can basically you can say, okay. It's the future, you know. It will be that way, and I think I protected myself against my non-knowledge of the United States by making science fiction. So I lost track of what I want to say, but
talking about we were talking about Hollow Man, but
Hollow Man. Well, yeah, sure, you're right. With Hollow Man, I had the feeling that I could not put my signature on it in any way. Originally, the idea was, what would you do if you would be invisible? Which is a statement by Plato. And Plato says you would do the most horrifying things because you have. That's what his theory. And that I want to make that movie. But then I found out, first of all, that because of, let's say, the rights to the Invisible Man, basically they were, I think, at Universal, that making Hollow Man was, that we could nearly not leave the laboratory. I mean, because if we would go outside, we would be falling in on the right situation of the real Invisible Man, the one that was the Universal movie. So that was restrained already. And top of that, let's say, I wanted to go much further with what you would do, invisible. And the studio felt, of course, that it was too much. Or that should be more restrained and not to the extremity that I liked to do. And so I felt that I had in no way, at the end of the road, I felt that I had not giving this movie, like I just said, a signature. And I felt that I should stop that and find something different and go into a different direction. And that's why I fell back on the script, an idea that we had developed in the 80s in Holland, which ultimately became the Black Book. So I jumped on that movie to forget about, with Hollow Man, you could say, two big words probably, but that I lost my soul there and I found it back in Black Book. So I found again that I was doing something what I thought was important or interesting or whatever instead of the studio.
I take it you haven't seen Hollow Man recently, but I watched it again recently, and
it's great.
I think it's actually quite good. It's there's some very good things. There's some very good things in it, but it's also, I think, a real Donald Trump era film. I think it's like if you think Starship Troopers anticipated Iraq, I think Hollow Man kind of anticipated Trump.
Well, I think we foresaw Trump already with Starship Troopers. Huh?
Yeah, for sure. But okay, let me just ask you to talk about your Dutch phase a little bit. There was also, I understand why, after Hollow Man and this wanting to reconnect with your roots with Black Book, but why did you leave Holland in the first place after, a very successful run? Although I know there was Spetters was not an easy film for you with the response.
No, Spetter was a bit bashed by the press. It was like Showgirls, but of course, it was a very successful movie.
Yeah.
But
and so was The Fourth Man.
The First Man was that was a very cheap movie, basically. No, there was all these movies were some of them were absolutely very commercial. In fact, especially Turkish Delight, but also Soldier of Orange and others. But the more success you had in Holland at that time, there was a very left-wing, let's say, government. And the committees that in Holland and in Europe, all films are made with partially 30, 40, 50, 60% of government money, isn't it? Otherwise, there would not be any film industry in the whole of Europe. And these committees were extremely left-wing in Holland at that time. I would call it fascist left. And so everything had to be in the direction of their dogmatic ideas, and so they hated my movies, and it was impossible to get money of the government anymore because they refused, because they felt that my movies were decadent and perverted and had no social agenda, and there was really no depth in it and whatever. And so at a certain moment I couldn't make movies anymore, and then there were continuously, let's say, requests from the United States to come over. Please, you have to leave your country behind because it's too small for you or something. Anyhow, so that happened all, and at a certain moment then Robocop came, and especially, it's really my wife who pushed me because I was afraid to go there here. And she said, okay, I'll take care of the kids and you go to make the movie and we'll join you, and let's see if it works in the United States. In fact, but that's well known, I think. When I read the Robocop script for the first time, I thought it was horrible. And then basically, so I threw it away, and then she read it, and she said, I think you make a mistake, you should read it again. So I think I was very lucky, in both cases, that basically that I reread Robocop and that I came to the United States, because I feel that the movies I made here, I could never have made in Europe at all, of course. And it's sad that I have for 14 years not made a movie in the United States. I would love to.
When you read the Robocop script, did it strike you at the time already as having sort of parallels with the Jesus story, or was that something that you added?
It certainly was not in the script. No. But I felt from the beginning. I think I took the script ultimately when I had after rereading it. Then I took it because of this, of the biblical implications. In fact, I should say, especially the scene, for example, when he goes to his house and gets these flashes about another life. That for me was the really. Lost paradise, in fact, his family, his child, and whatever, that he gets these flashes, and on the other hand, I felt that when Murphy in the beginning basically is killed, I had the feeling that, and then resurrected. Of course, it is a metaphor there. Of course, he gets really killed in the most horrible way, especially in the original version, and which is like a crucifixion, and then basically, and then he's resurrected and he's another person, isn't it? Even if you look precisely in the Bible, if you know the New Testament or sometimes read it, then you will see that Jesus basically after his death, when he's basically resurrected, doesn't say anything anymore. In fact, very simple words. Give me some food, or give me a fish, or how are you doing? Well, that's Robocop, huh? He's programmed. And so there were all these. I mean, I put it in a light way, but there were really all these things that I felt basically with my interest in Jesus. I'm not Christian, so that you know, I'm not a Christian, but I have this interest, and that came into the movie in an very organic way. It just came in, and I used it because I felt these things that are part of this wonderful mythology, of course, that is called Christianity.